Hello, you're listening to Count Richard Von Coudenhove kalergi. Today is Friday the 12th of October. Here are a couple of comments since my last video. I would like to start by saying that I appreciate being mentioned twice by Critiqued in his last two postings. I replied to him in one of them that all roads must lead from Brussels by any means necessary. By that I mean that Ireland's future lies in leaving the EU and to promote this stance by any means necessary. I noticed that RTE yet again has another pro-mass migration story, this time from a school in Tullamore. A 14-year-old student has been granted leave to stay after a campaign against his deportation. A mother from Nigeria and her two children arrived in Ireland 12 years ago and sought asylum on the grounds that her husband, who had died, that she had been seriously mistreated by his brother-in-law and his family. Since when did domestic violence become grounds for asylum? And how many countries did this woman pass through before settling in Ireland? Her application was turned down in 2009, refused again in 2017 after a second deportation notice was given, and a third time in June 2018. A petition was started by the students and a YouTube video was posted and viewed 1,467 times as of today and has now been allowed to stay. This use of children to promote this agenda is obscene. A video has been used to overturn the rule of law. How about that now? How is someone allowed to stay in Ireland so long? How is someone allowed to make so many appeals against deportation? According to the government's own figures, 80% of all asylum applications are bogus, and yet they can't get rid of them. There are 35 direct provision centres in Ireland, with 28 being run for profit by private contractors at an average cost of 1.2 million per week. 60 million paid out in 2017, with some companies, and I find this one very interesting, re-registering as unlimited companies where they are not required to file annual accounts and avoid public scrutiny. Imagine that now, as regards how much money they're actually making. And a businessman, Sean Lyons, made 6.85 million last year from Mosney, the largest in the state. Attorney General legal fees regarding asylum cases has turned into a very lucrative business, with one barrister, Siobhan Stack, earning €2,346,000 in a 5-year period, and Sinead McGrath, wife of Barry Andrews, ex-TD, ex-chairman of GOAL, who is now employed by the EU, earned €1,140,000 in a 4-year period. So is it any wonder that the professional classes want more people in direct provision? All this while we have a housing crisis which in part is being fuelled by non-EU citizens coming into Ireland. There are 20,000 NGO'S operating in this state. 10,000 of them are getting funding from this state, i.e. from the taxpayer. Nicky Henderson of the Irish Refugee Council, who was on a salary of €58,000, has called on the government to extend child benefit to all those illegal and bogus children in direct provision, and to increase the weekly allowance of up to €38 per person, and to provide more funding regarding deportation orders. Why is it necessary to have so many NGOs getting state funding? Surely some of those funded are actually doing the same job. A major study into the funding of NGOs need to be done. I also note that some of those campaigning in direct provision seem to be coached in their responses, such as references to being in a prison, or in one case referred to being in like Guantanamo Bay. I think this is somewhat being abused by these ungratefuls. I wonder how many of those who were granted status find themselves able to return to their country of origin for holidays. It's also worth noting that between 2010 and 2011, €1,000 million left Ireland to go to Nigeria by Western Union. And as a final comment, has no one learned from the bogus story of Pamela Is Way High, a woman who eventually her lies caught up with her, but not before her deportation back to Nigeria had cost this state €1 million in legal fees. Well, there are just a couple of thoughts, which are my own. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.